Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to yet another fight reaction on the Unfocused podcast channel.
Recycling the content as always. You know, we're definitely not out of ideas this early on into the channel. Well, we're not, but this is easy.
Yes, this is easy. Hopefully, easy views. Hopefully, you enjoy it easy. Yes, yes. That's the main.
You're
thing.
easy. That's all I'll say. On to the fighting talk.
Yeah, so I'm sure as everyone coming onto this reaction video would know, Wilder lost. He got absolutely beat the hell out of, and we'll go into that.
It was funny.
I'm fuming. I am a relatively new but relatively big Deontay Wilder fan. I think, you know, coming into this, I put it in the discussion we had a few podcasts ago that it wasn't a few podcasts. It was last podcast that I wanted Deontay to win, and I thought he was going to win in the sort of 6th, 7th round. Unfortunately, it went the other way.
Well, even though I was sort of backing Fury to win, I still thought Wilder was going to, so I thought he was going to do a lot better than he did on the night. I don't know, he seemed to crumble. Yeah,
he had the first round, as Fury said to him actually after the fight, the first round he was dynamite. He was landing a good couple of rights as we know him for, and then after that it just fell apart.
I don't know what happened to him. So one thing I've sort of written down just to say is I felt like he looked tired from round 3 onwards.
He gassed out really quick. Yeah,
I don't know if it's really weird because obviously you wouldn't think the occasion would get to him because he's so used to it, but maybe it just did somehow or for some reason.
So he obviously got dropped in that 3rd round through a headshot, and he looked off balance really for a lot of the time after that. So I think probably that straight away the legs went, and he just lost it from there really.
Yeah, I agree with that really. He seemed quite, I don't know, he wasn't stable really at any point. As soon as he was getting hit, he was dropping. He was stumbling, he had a few slips. It's not what I expected at all.
Well, there was obviously that 40-pound difference in weight.
Oh yeah, it's obviously gonna make a difference.
And you could see a lot of the time throughout all the clinches. Mm-hmm. Fury was just leaning on him, draining him of all of his energy, and that pays a massive toll when you're in a clinch like that against such a big guy. If he's pushing himself down, especially when he had him in headlocks, you could see he was just leaning down that a little bit just to keep him down, which isn't necessarily overly illegal. You don't get massively penalised for anything like that. It just does the job. It gets them, makes them tired.
Yeah, it's just one of the things that I had written down as well is that he was just leaning on him to drain him. I mean, when it's not just in your everyday life, if Wilder was just trying to, I'm sure Wilder could carry Fury, but when he's being bad and you're already drained from a fight, it's just even more draining. It adds to that taxing energy, just leaving your body, and every bit of energy that Fury could get out of Wilder, he did. I think he did everything he set out to do.
He was. I mean, we knew he was going to be technically better than Wilder, but he was technically better than himself in the first fight. Probably is at his peak, like he keeps saying, and everybody is reiterating. He probably is now at such a pinnacle of his career.
It's mental
to be able to get all this. There were so many big shots that he set up and timed, and Wilder just couldn't read it throughout the stages. He just couldn't get there.
But he was fainting quite a lot. A bit later on, I don't think at the start he was really fainting that much, but then as he got more into the fight, he was fainting more, and I guess trying to get into the Wilder's head really.
The first first knockdown that was scored on him in that third round was actually the first time he'd been knocked down. Since 2010. I'm not sure who the opponent was, but Wilder hadn't been knocked down since 2010, and then obviously he got 2 in the same fight, and then in the 5th round then was the body shot, which was crunching. It was like, he just hit him with that right hand to the side, and he went down. I couldn't blame him for that. It was such a big shot, and again from such a big guy with a lot higher weight than probably he predicted. It was quite a feeling.
Well, being someone who isn't usually beaten or hurt, it's going to feel odd to him. It's going to feel like, in a way, there is a lot of benefit from being beaten up beforehand, so you know what that feeling's like, and then getting up off the canvas.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in that first, that 12th round in the first fight, Fury got knocked down.
Yeah.
And he got knocked down obviously earlier in the fight. It's not the first time that it's happened to him. He probably would have come into this saying, right, I've got no fear of being knocked down, because he gave it everything in that first fight, and he couldn't knock me out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
I think I saw something from Fury saying that he sort of had no fear. He had no doubts about anything. It was like he found a different strength within himself after that. Like coming up again.
Hopefully, if we can find the quote, we'll put it on the screen now. But he said something in the post-match press conference where he said, I went into this thinking, if he couldn't beat me as 50% of the man I am now, he was never going to beat me at 100%.
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, he walked the walk and he talked the talk. Yeah.
What I seem to notice a lot was Wilder had his hands very low, even from the first round, and he got caught with quite a few sort of stiff jabs.
Yeah. Which
obviously would have played a toll then overall. He got a few to the body. And then on the opposite side of that, Wilder was throwing quite a few jabs, and he looked really uncomfortable. He looked stiff, not the jab, but he looked stiff throwing them, and connected with a couple of decent ones. But overall, it just looked, I don't know, it just looked really forced.
It wasn't a great performance by any means. It wasn't. I don't think he will be proud of how he performed in the ring by any means. Like he's gonna be really disappointed with, like, when he watches it back. He'll think, why didn't I throw there? Why didn't I move my head there? Why didn't I jab there? You know, why didn't I loosen up? Why didn't I have I don't know if it was just in mindset going into the fight or what, but one thing I heard the commentator say was he has a 95% knockout record. Obviously not knocking out Fury in their fight previous. And I don't know if he got overconfident with how good he's become, but also with how he hasn't been truly challenged like Fury challenged him. I don't know.
He was very... Go on.
I don't know if he thought, well, I can knock out anyone. I'm gonna knock him out this fight. I didn't last time. It was luck. He somehow caught up. I don't care. I'm gonna knock him out this time. And then you just thought, I'll rely on my right hand as I usually do, and they'll do the job for me.
I know we had the discussion just a little bit before starting the podcast, but I said that I didn't feel like his coaches in his corner. I'm not going to obviously put any blame into them,
no,
especially not for throwing in the towel, because at that point I think that was the right thing to do. But I don't think the cornermen kind of said enough to him. I don't feel like he alternated what he was doing, but between different rounds at all. I think he came out looking the exact same. I feel like they taught him, yes, to use the jab, but it wasn't working for him, and they didn't try and change that mentality.
They didn't have a plan B.
And I think they didn't have a plan B. From what I saw, I'm not the most expert boxing, statistician, but I feel like they could have utilised Deontay's strengths more.
Definitely.
I feel like he was a very different fighter to the first fight. Yes, he was losing that first fight, but he still managed to get those big hits in that first one, and he didn't in this.
Well, I believe I saw online one of the cornermen, I think it was, said that the reason Wilder lost wasn't because of how good Fury was, it was because of the entrance outfit for Wilder that was too heavy. So maybe that's why he looked tired from the off.
The entrance outfit? I don't know what he actually...
Yeah, he had this costume on, really. It was a full body thing, a mask. It looked quite heavy. I don't know, I didn't wear it. But it looked good, it just also looked heavy. I mean, I don't know if that played a part, if it took a toll on his energy levels or what, but according to one of them, that was the reason.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and that is a monster of an outfit. Yeah. That is, I can see that being particularly heavy. That's quite nuts.
I don't know why they did everything wrong. Like, it just doesn't seem like they actually planned as well as their last fight, even though they knew how to plan better this time as they fought him last time. It just seems like Wilder himself and his team set up all wrong and didn't really know what to do. I don't know.
I mean, he's always looking at the negatives of Wilder. It's not what I enjoy, but looking at the positives of Fury is just something else. He was incredible. From a boxing perspective, that was an incredible display.
Oh, definitely. I mean, one thing I noticed with Fury was his jab, with then coming in with the right hand, was phenomenal. He kept so much pressure on Wilder. He was quick, he was sharp, he was powerful, and he didn't give up at all. He shown why he deserved to be the heavyweight champion.
In that fight, winning that fight has now made him the first boxer to end 2 reigns of 10 plus title defences. So in 2015, Klitschko was attempting his 19th world title, and he beat him.
Wow.
And obviously now, 2020, Deontay was attempting his 11th defence, and he's beaten. So he's the first boxer ever to actually stop 2 long-lasting title defences, and it just shows you something about his character.
That's quality. Like, he is... You wouldn't... It's just so weird, because you wouldn't think, like, by looking at him, that he's that good. Like, you can think, okay, he can hurt people, but you wouldn't think how technical, how smart he actually is, even though he doesn't come across that way necessarily. He doesn't seem the most, invested in every aspect of boxing, because I've seen him say before, he doesn't care what he eats and stuff. His diet, I'm sure he did for more for this fight, but before he was saying he didn't really care what he was eating and stuff, because he was like, as long as I can, I'm putting in the work in the gym, in the boxing ring, then what I eat is not going to affect that. It's all a mental sport. It's all a training and being prepared of what I eat. It doesn't matter. So he was just eating what he liked.
Well, coming from all of the things that he went through in that gap, that two-year gap, I won't go over sort of everything, but the drug problems, the drink problems. He was 28 stone. There was a lot going on, behind the scenes, and he's evidently put that work in, had that mentality to push to become, he's this 19 stone elite boxer from this 28 stone person who probably couldn't see this far into his future at one point, and he, from that perspective, I suppose that drove him more than Wilder had to go for. Really,
I'd say, as a personal thing, I'd say Fury is one of the strongest people mentally that I could think of. Like, overcoming everything he has, because there's so much negativity that had surrounded him at one point in his life, and he has then beaten all that. Well, I mean, I assume he's beaten most of it. He might still be doing things, I don't know, but he is, regardless, pushed through it and now done such an incredible feat.
well, to quote Give Me Sport, it's the greatest comeback in sporting history.
Oh, there you go.
Couldn't be more accurate, really.
So, something a bit weird though. I don't know if you saw it in the fight, but I had to mention this. Fury, middle of the fight, I can't remember what round, it was about round 4, I think. I don't know if he licked Wilder's neck, but he looked like he did. Like, he had his tongue, he was like flicking it by Wilder's neck.
I saw that. I think what he did is he just pulled the face. I think he just pulled it. But I don't know whether Wilder's corner was over that side, wasn't it? So it might have been directed at them. I don't know.
I don't know. But
I'm sure that'll come out in the future, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't know if because the commentator said that Fury he wanted to taste blood. So I mean, it could have been for that. But it also could have been one of them things where last fight when he was in the clinch, he just kept saying "Big Dosser" to Wilder. So
which was
yeah. So maybe it was just one of them things. I really don't know, but when I see it, I was like, okay, that's a bit odd. So one thing I just want to say before we wrap up this podcast, I just want to give credit to Fury and say he did an excellent job at executing what he said he was going to do. He backed everything. He believed in himself, and he deserved it in the end, really.
So if you guys can back up, go down to the comment section, give us some love there, give us some love with some likes on the channel, share this around, keep the views going, keep everyone getting engrossed in the channel. Make sure you subscribe whilst you're down there as well.
Really appreciate all the support, and see you in the next one.
Peace.